Today, I'm going to have a conversation with Mega. You may know him as Mega Man. This is someone that I've grown up, and it's so funny because we're only 5 years apart, but in my mind, he is much older, much more experienced than I am, because I was still probably 16 when he was selling millions of records, touring the world, and created one of the most profound and successful music movements that the UK has ever seen. We've actually interacted on a couple of occasions before, and he's always been incredibly thoughtful, patient, and kind. Very open in terms of how he can help. We had an award show that I did and some big events we did at Sunday Show, and he came down, he facilitated access to talent, always been really, really helpful and a servant to whoever needs him, and moves honorably. So it's a massive moment for me to have a conversation. Look, I would love to sit here and talk about the chronological order of all of his successes and the big moments in music and this artist versus that artist. But to be honest, the part that moves me the most is him as a person, him as a man. Like, what's his guiding principles? What kind of things is he trying to create for himself? The world he lives in, because it's not the same as everybody else's. It's definitely not where we are all coexisting together. So that's where I'm going to dig into, and whatever else we get out of it, you know, the gift is the gift. But I'm super excited to introduce you to Mega through my eyes. Mega Man, welcome.
Welcome. How you doing, bro? Good.
It's now Mega, it's not Mega Man, right?
Yeah, just Mega.
When would the adjustment come?
I don't know. I think Mega Man's more of a computer game guy. It's more. I just feel it's a young, you know what I mean, saying Mega Man.
Yeah.
Just
like,
Mega,
yeah. Like, I suppose when you're like little something, or the kind of like the artist name then needs to be evolved. Like, I think about Jeezy as well, and now he's just Jeezy.
Yeah, it was Young Jeezy.
Yeah. And it has more gravitas when it's
just Mega's cool.
Yeah. So you were raised in South London.
South London, born and raised, yeah. Southwest.
I have a confession. I was raised in East. We were just told to never go Clapham for anything. Just for anything.
Why?
Don't go
why
for
Clapham?
shopping. If there's a girl that invites you, don't go.
I don't know where that reputation came from. I think the whole of Southwest London has that sort of stigma. But you can go to any area, man. on a real grown thing, you can go to any area.
Yeah, now that I'm grown, I go anywhere.
You can go to any area back then too.
Really?
Really?
Come on.
No, really. Like,
so I had this conversation with Poet one time. Yeah.
How do you want to go to Clapham Junction? Do you want to go with your gang?
No, I don't.
With a bunch of your friends?
Unfortunately,
do you want to go on the block
and
go to those parts?
But one up to go Junction.
But you can go
17 years old.
You can go one up, yeah.
In the year 2000, yeah.
In the year 2000, cool. Yeah, cool. We're Clapham Junction. We're the physical type, but we're not the bully type.
So it's not just like on site.
Nah, never. Nah, that was more other parts of Southwest.
Why do you think that is? What's the difference? If you think about all the different areas,
we were more cultural, man. We were just the cool guys, man. You know what I mean? We were the protectors of the vulnerable. You understand what I'm saying? We just wanted to have a good time. But
why does it sound like you guys are superheroes? And it's like, we called you, there was a bat signal.
It's kind of how we grew, man. Most of our elders, they were doing core training from early. You know what I mean? Simon, Dungle. Our elders weren't the guys that would, send you out there and try and bully you. And all right, you had the crackhead ones that smoked crack. You know what I mean? That thought it was a bad boy thing, and you had a couple state elders that would come on the block, and you might have to hide your weed and little things like that. But nah, man, our elders were good to us, man. They really taught us they taught us togetherness, they taught us family, and they taught us how to look after yourself without a weapon and with, I would say. So we were protectors, man. Anybody can come to Clapham Junction. One up. It just depends how you came. If you wanted to come and hang on the block and you're a nobody and you just walked into a bunch of kids on the block, that's never really a warming way to come. But if you're just coming to have a nice time, you want to pass certain significant places, go Battersea Park and you come there to do football, or you've come down there to do boxing or training or whatever.
Yeah.
It's always been like that.
I feel like every area has its own characteristic. The way, like, if you think about Northwest, I always think of it from a lens of Caribbean. Like, it's very intensely Caribbean.
Northwest Caribbean, Southwest Caribbean. You know, you go to Southeast, it's more Cockney based. So a lot of the guys speak, got a little bit of slang in their voice.
Still a lot of Nigerian.
You know, your feckies and, you know, your gigs is, they've got a bit of Cockney in that voice there, I must say. But Southwest has got that real Caribbean slang
connection.
I think everywhere has the connection, but I think the slang, if you really deep Southeast and Southwest, you can understand there's a lot more of that. You all right, mate? Nah, none of that. Give me a break. You know what I mean? Us is like, nah, blood.
That's true.
That's not happening, bro.
There is a massive disconnect,
Yeah.
And it's funny how generations of being black, it gets further and further away from the source.
Yeah.
Unless it's intentional to keep it. Because if you don't hear older Caribbean men speak, if you don't hear that in your head when you're speaking, you can't access it.
Our parents, man, maybe if our parents were rebels and they shunned us away from our grandparents, we wouldn't really get much of that slang. But if your parents are still close to your grandparents, then you're going to get that slang. Yeah. Especially if you're in the revival, rare groove, lovers rock circle.
Is that what the sound in your house was?
My father's house. My father's house and my mother's house more so, not my grandparents' house. And I grew up with my grandparents, so I listened to a lot of like Luther Vandross, Teddy Pendergrass, the Winans family, gospel side of things, you know.
Does that make you a lover boy early though? This is the thing that I have. I think you start as a lover boy where like...
I don't know if I was ever a lover boy, you know.
Nah, did you ever... I
was shy,
Have you ever written a note to a woman?
I wasn't a gallus, nah. I wasn't one of those guys that were good with words and stuff, you know. Not to females anyway. To my friends, meaning, you know, like, yo, we've got a plan. Let's try this. You know, like, bro, Mega's got a... But to females, man, I was one of the last in the line, man.
Bro, same.
Like, there were some beautiful girls in my states, and you know, you tell a man to go and speak to her for you because you haven't got the.
Does that ever work though?
You haven't got the slang. It never worked. Yeah, these guys just.
They'll be like,
exactly. That's exactly what happened, bro.
What country are your parents from?
Mum's parents from Jamaica. Dad's from Grenada.
But Grenada's like a proper carnival island. Have you been?
Of course.
So that Spice is a whole thing. They're trying to get me to come out. You went when you were 8.
When I was 8.
What do you remember of that particular time?
Seeing some insects that I've never seen in my life and wanted to go straight back home. No, really. And just the way how they lived, it was just like, you know, wooden, clean houses, a few cement houses at that time, but and everywhere we went was family.
There's this thing where your last name matters on the island. Like if you say your last name, they can trace you back and be like, oh, that's your uncle, aunt.
Because when slavery got abolished, you know, a lot of families adopted the slave masters' names. So Vincent was one of them, Alexander's another, Isaac's is another, Noel's are another. There's quite a few. And that dates back to, you know, even Malcolm X's mother. That's bloodline, that's family there.
Really?
Yeah, Louise.
That's wild.
Louise,
because I know
the Lagdon family.
So I was in Antigua. My family are half Antiguan.
Okay.
And I went back there and I was saying the like maiden names of the Antiguan side, and everybody just knows them. Oh yeah, that family, they're always in politics. Yeah. And that family over there, they live over there. They used to be police officers. And I feel like you could never do that here. And there's something really beautiful. It made me connect.
What do you mean never do it in the UK?
Yeah, like my last name Harrison. I'll be sent on a journey.
Yeah, because you know what, you couldn't do it here is because, you know, most of those family names was not from your culture. So you might have come across a white version of your surname. Yeah. And they're not your family, but maybe you was given that surname by one of their ancestors. Yeah,
so my surname is Scottish.
Yeah, so was mine.
So like they did a mockery in the Caribbean, and no one ever talks about it. Everyone just goes straight to English. but the amount of Scottish people's last names that are in the Caribbean is out of this world. So I think about like, I don't have that connection. And it's only when I went back and I said the last name, then you realize how much power your last name has. Cause it's not just you. Like he literally rang my grand uncle right there in front of me. I sat down with the tourism lead out there and he was just like, oh yeah. And he's like, got his phone out, old school, dialed it. And he's like, yeah, is he here? And just put him on the phone. And I was like, hi. Hi, uncle.
I've never had that experience before, but you know.
The idea of it is incredibly beautiful. I think it's like quite a profound way to exist if you're able to like trace your connection points. Like,
could trace it back quite a distance, right back to the Ashanti. Right back.
Wow.
Cause we got a good amount of acres out there as well.
Oh, is it?
Doing some stuff.
Tell me more about the Jamaican side.
Jamaican side, the Neal family. You got the Neal family and the Richards family. So my granddad and my grandmother, very prominent. The Neal family is very prominent out there, especially in Montego Bay. Some are country based, some like the city life. But Greenwood Plaza is one of our families, one of our family members' business. So that side of the family, they're quite well off, very wealthy, multi-millionaires in Jamaica. And the other side just want to live a calm life. One of my cousins, like, he's near enough my age, he always rolls around with it. Went to become a mayor or politician.
Really?
So they invest in government initiatives and a lot of stuff, and a lot of my family members put on all of these little jams and stuff like that. They're from the East London side, so most of the East London side of my family, they might not even understand that they're my family. They're my family, and I know.
But that's a Jamaica thing, though. Like you have to do that thing of like, what's your last name? Where's your family from? And try and do a little, at least.
If you're a Richards, if you're a Bennett, if you're a Neal, then you're connected to my family.
So can they reach out to you and get some money and some opportunities? Or
they can get some opportunities. They could most simply get money. No, for real, they could most simply get money, but it just has to be a good. Come on, we sit down, we do business. We know where to get money from. Some of us have it, and we know how to see a good business deal when it's in front of us. So, of course you could do business.
You said that you was raised by your grandmother. What did she teach?
Raised in my grandmother's house.
In her house. With
my uncles and aunties and cousins, and my mum was there for a bit until she rebelled a bit, but
So people, especially if you're English, you don't quite understand like community rearing in the same way. Because for me, my family is cousins, aunts, uncles. That's just one thing. We don't really separate as family. When it's like a birthday, everyone comes out. When you're in English families, it's the nucleus. That's their family.
The mum and dad.
Mum, dad, children,
baby sister.
But the aunts and uncles aren't front line. Like they're not in the family in the same way.
I've quite noticed that. Looking at the demographic, just mixing and mingling with other cultures, you kind of notice that. I think like the African culture. The African culture is the Caribbean culture. So I'll say the African culture and the Asian culture. They are very much like that.
Family centric, layers and layers of family. What do you think you got out of being in that kind of community vibe young? Like, where did you pick up the musical elements to yourself? Or?
It's a pro and a con, man. It's a gift and a curse, bro. Like, all right, picking up the music side, that was... Well, if you grew up in a household like mine, you're either going to physically use your talent or you're going to verbally use your talent. And that's how we grew. It was either sports or music. Because everything else kind of felt like you needed to conform, you know, and outside of, you know, conforming was your physical ability to, you know, be an athlete, you know, and knowing that you're an athlete, you could either run fast, you could play football, you could do cricket, you could do basketball, something. Or utilize your singing talent, your voice, you know, and that was the two. Just coming up through watching my dad do the soundboy thing and watching my peers do the soundboy thing, because I was way too inquisitive, man. I couldn't just be a part of things. I had to ask questions like, how much are these lights? I mean, how much did it cost to get this room done? Okay, so how much do you make from it? All right, cool. Is that? And then I'm in, if it makes sense. You know what I mean?
So I had this thing. I'm one of four. I'm third out of 4 children. Right. And sometimes in being raised, because my mum raised us by herself, there's times where you just get lost in the family mix-up. Like when things are going on, like you don't...
If you're all in the same house.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You definitely... I just remember being like, right, I'm actually speaking and no one's like... Everyone's just doing their thing. Yeah. And it's like, there's too many children.
I was one of those family members where... These got it. He's all right. Yeah, we ain't got to check up on him.
Yeah.
But these got to make sure he checks up on everyone else.
Yes.
Like the younger brothers and
But isn't that like a weight on you then? Because then like, who looks after you then? Because we all need a
You look after yourself. I think it's just one of those things where you end up kind of... But in a household like that, when you're responsible, you're responsible. You know what I mean? If you can brush your own teeth, no one's checking on you. You know what I mean? If you could wash yourself and cook your food, no one's checking on you. And that's just how it is, bro.
So I had a moment with my son, he's 8, and we went to the dentist. And then he was like, oh, you got to keep supervising him brushing his teeth because I think there's like, he's not getting the back ones or whatever on the inside. And I sat there and I was like, do you know what? I can't remember the last time I supervised any of that type of stuff because they now just do it in such a program and flow.
Yeah.
I feel like, no, they got it. But there is this thing of like checking in with people at different stages. And I feel like I don't want my children to get lost. That's one reason why I said I only want to have 2 children. Is because I never wanted it to be like there's 4. Because every time you meet children, bro. Every time you meet someone that's got like 4 siblings, somebody's got a story that they're pissed off about.
Then? So, are you saying your reason for having 2 children is what's your reason?
To be able to give them enough focus so they actually navigate all their challenges effectively. Because like there might be times where it's like you had it, but you would have benefited from just a little bit of information from somewhere.
So what are we saying about our grandparents? What type of people were they? Compared to how we think?
My gran probably had 13 kids. Yeah. Of that, 3 are in the UK. The rest are in Jamaica.
Yeah.
The 3 that are in the UK got a much better experience because she was older and there's only 3 of them.
Yeah.
I think there's a point where when you're having children, it's difficult to track them in their flow of what's going on in their lives. Like there's a time where my son's in Bristol right now with his grandmother. When he comes back, he's gone through so much stuff where he's just like got questions, observe things, like he has new feelings about stuff. And if I don't have time to sit with him and be like, all right, son, what's been going on? What's been happening? You start missing stuff. Now, I think it's good that he learns to do certain stuff on his own because I learned to do stuff on my own.
Yeah.
But also on the other side of that, the amount of times where I could have just avoided going into the wrong place, getting hit over the head with something, being chased by police, just stuff where you're like, I could have done without that. That didn't add value into my experience.
True.
And if someone turned around and said, Marvyn, you know what? You've been coming into the house and you haven't been the same. What's going on? I remember there was a time in school and I was coming back. I used to walk to school half an hour away. Right. And one day, this white Irish kid just said, I'm going to kill you. He just looked me dead in the eye because I laughed at something. He said, I'm going to kill you. You wait after school. I'm going to stab you. I was like, what? And I was like, this is a crazy little Irish kid. I don't know if that's true or not. So I had to sit there and go through a whole mental thing of like, am I going to die today? Like, and once you have that in your head circling, it changes you. You're not the same anymore.
So, yeah, well, in a sense, I kind of felt like that in different times in my life, but it depends. It depends whether your family's showing you what your family's showing you as you're growing up, and how they make you feel and how confident they make you feel. Because I would say I was fortunate to know quite a lot about the family before my dad's life. You know what I mean? And knowing I was just going through life like nothing's gonna happen to me. You're mad. That's how I was going through life, literally. Like, what? Nothing's gonna happen to me. What? You think something's gonna happen to you? All right, cool. Nothing's gonna happen to me. I've got you. And that's what I'm saying. So I went through life a little bit confident.
Yeah.
On that side.
So what's interesting is I feel there's that element, but even for having that, there's another side to it, where just the softer stuff of just like. So, for example, there's more capacity to you than you probably are even aware of.
Yes, definitely.
And someone could have spoke that into you in a way that's just focused that energy. Like I look at someone like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
This is harsh development into a very narrow existence.
Yeah, true.
Like, and he's now one of the greatest artists of all time. It's very difficult to replicate what he's done. And for us, I think that our own intuition and drive got us where we were. Not enough sculpting happened. Intentional sculpting of like you this is how. So a perfect example is my school was a catchment area school for Arsenal. I went to Highbury Grove, so like any school in that area, that's where they found their youth players from back in the day. And I was in the school team. The scouts would come and watch us. I had no idea the logical, practical steps of what made a professional football player. So I used to just turn up and play, and feel like I must have a chance because I'm going to score 2 goals. But I don't have no technical advancements. I don't know I should be running every day. I don't know I should be doing kick-ups every day. So I'm saying like all that information just got left.
Someone has to show you the fundamentals.
And then I'm sitting there heartbroken that the scout keeps coming and doesn't pick me and I don't understand. So then it could have been a thing of like, if I applied, I probably may not have gone to the league, but I would have had a really good attempt of doing it, or I would have felt satisfied in that feeling. And I feel like sometimes growing up in those environments, the gems get lost. Gems get created and then gems get lost.
All I say is this: my father grew me to understand what their goal was as a family and what their mission was as a family.
What was that?
Total freedom. I mean, when they grew up in the Caribbean, West Indies, they didn't have to think about how to make money or wonder if I'm going to get this job.
What do you mean by that? Is it like...
Or oh, don't go down there because I'll get arrested or the police might bother me. Or just the things that we grow our kids to be aware of in Europe, they didn't grow like that. So when they got the opportunity to come here, it was really to see if they could create another version of what they had in the Caribbean, in the West Indies.
That's powerful, though.
Yeah. Some became police officers. 1 or 2 became lords. Most of them bought their houses. Most of the grandparents that came here bought their houses. The kids were the spoilt ones. So they had a trade, they had a business, but some of them didn't really care to go further than owning a house or 2, but they didn't really want to accumulate crazy business from it, and because they always felt this isn't their home. Their home is in the West Indies, and they've got everything there. As soon as they get off the plane, they're treated like
it's different.
Yeah, it's just different. So
do you feel like that's an important part? Because I think the Windrush generation first were here to help rebuild Britain post the war. Then it turned into like
that's what they wanted them to come over here for. But the people who came here were also sold a dream that life is better for you. So it wasn't just that we want to come here and like, what do you mean? Like, what? We're in the Caribbean, just living our life, eating fruits and everything off trees and going to the beach when we want. The sun's here every day. Everyone is our family. You know what I mean? Even if you're in trouble, you're not in trouble. You know what I mean? You go to the judge, it's your next door neighbor. There's like a community understanding of like, it's lovely. So why are we just gonna come and fix your country? Like what? There was no have to. There was no have to. So someone had to say something in a way where the streets are paved with gold. Come here, whoa, like the magic's here. Someone had to entice them to do that, and on top of that, look, we love your skill set. Come and help build. And when they came here, it was more come and help build, but stay in this corner. Come and help build, but don't go to this club. Come and help build, but your privileges ain't like ours. You know what I'm saying? So after a while, it turned a little bit different, but they were enticed here to find a better life. You know what I mean?
Do you ever foresee like a mass exodus of blackness back to Caribbean, back to because I spent time
maybe
in South
not
Africa.
to the Caribbean, to Africa. Yeah, I see it. I see it. It's happening already. It's happening. It's been happening for years. So I see it. It's just in the way how we do it. Because even if most of us that are dark skin will class ourselves as African or Caribbean.
Much better
But then
with...
the deeper thing is your DNA and your bloodline. You know what I mean? We've been diluted 10, 5, 6, 7 times over. So when you go back to certain places, you really got to dig deep.
Do you feel like being a dark-skinned man has a different experience to like some of your peers, friends that you observe just socially day to day?
Yes and no. I think it's the way how we're grown to think as well as the way how society is. You know, also the conditioning of what is on TV majority of the time, what are in this kid's book majority of the time. So if you're always seeing the lighter skinned characters being the heroes and all that sort of stuff, or being prominent in school books and stuff, then that's what you're going to like to see. It's not like you just want to see it, but you're more preferable looking at that on TV. And I think that's how society grows us in this country. If it was the other way around, I think it would be a lot more easier for black boys to be accepted, or us to feel like we're accepted in many different careers and sectors and stuff.
I feel like when you look at the young black man,
seeing a black police officer that in those times, you understand what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't, you know what I mean? It's a bit strange. Like, what are you doing in that uniform? You understand what I'm saying? And that's as well as us. That's as well as to you know, white Britain. Who's that? I don't want that police officer arresting me. I don't want him interviewing me. Who is he? Don't touch me. Yeah, those sort of things. So yeah, even in that side of it, it was strange.
When did you find what your gift is? Is your gift music? Is your gift something else that then turned into music?
I think my gift is something else, and I don't even think it's music, bro. I don't think my gift is music. I think I just have a gift of trying to get the best out of people. You know what I mean? Or helping people. I think I just have a gift of helping people and just knowing how to do it.
Yeah. Why do you think? Because it's interesting. I have a similar thing. My thing is community. I create them all the time, and I have literally my whole life. Even when I'm not trying to do it.
You just said a second ago that you only want 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
So how can your thing be community?
Yeah, but having children is completely different to building a community. Children for me are about me having the gifts to help them go through life. I don't feel if I have more than 2, I'll be able to do that as well.
So do you feel that having children as a mother and father, it's only your duty to raise those kids as a family?
It's my primary responsibility.
So
this is a good conversation, because only in Dope Black Dads have I got a wider perspective which affirms why only 2.
Do your kids go to school?
Yeah.
Okay. It's all right. I'll beg to differ. I'll go ahead.
Yeah. So my relationship with like community and that when I grew up, it was any black person was an extended member of your family. They had a right to interrupt you and be like, excuse me, what you're doing doesn't look right. I need you to go home. There was a relationship with that doesn't exist right now. So in principle, in theory, yes, absolutely. I would love it if we had that community in a way that I could entrust my children's like expansion into the hands of multiple people. But the reality is me and their mother sat down and was like, the only people that can really look after our children are our mothers. Everyone else is either absent or cannot necessarily be trusted to instill the values that they're instilling.
I feel that's where the disconnect happens, because us as parents, we only have a limited amount of knowledge, whether we have our kids young or old. We haven't been in the places our grandparents have been. We haven't been in the places our uncles and aunties have been into, or even some of our brothers and sisters. I think it's our duty as parents to teach our kids, but to raise kids, it takes a wider audience, especially knowing that we always hand our kids to the system.
True.
We hand our kids to the system from 9 till 3:30 or whatever it is, and we take them back. We don't have much teaching to do at that stage of time. So maybe only on a weekend. So how many weekends in a year do you actually have your children full of time? And this is the problem, because we would say we want to give our kids as much time as possible, but really we're not. And if we had a wider audience as a family, and we had our grandparents, and our kids could learn from our grandparents, as well as our brothers and sisters, as well as their grand aunts and stuff like that. There's an upbringing in that which is duly missed.
Yeah.
And this is where the disconnect of that family togetherness, like it's almost like we're Europeanizing ourselves.
Absolutely.
To an extent where we're now we're focused on mummy and daddy, and auntie and uncle can't tell us anything. Grandma and grandparents, I don't know who they are. We just go and see them now and again, hi and bye. You know what I mean? And I think that's an injustice as to why now you might say to yourself, I'm only gonna have two.
So I feel like you're gonna. That's cool. Now hold on to that point. It's interesting because I think I was raised in it, and that's how I see family, and that's how I loved it.
Right.
I think at the point of choosing to have children, I don't think I had my community set up and patterned in a way where raising children in a community view was possible. So then, like, you know, because I think at that point I started straying away from my family, being like, I'm moving into a space that I'm the only one that seems to know. I just immersed myself in what does professional growth look like, building a company look like. Yeah. So I think I pulled away from my family a little bit and was like, I'm a man now. So I had to go into, I think this is where I say that the little coaching and a little someone coming in and be like, I see where you are, I know where you're at. Right. What you need to remember is anchoring your family still. I'm like, no. I'm going to go find out this stuff and provide for my family. Yeah. So I did that on my own. And I think in doing so, you start building relationships, even relationships with women where like, that's not even in the vision of dating women who don't appreciate family in the same way, who don't have their own network and community and support network. So you're just dating amazing women who are like, lovely. I think you're amazing. And I think we're amazing. Let's be together. But now actually in this part of my life, I'm like, my mum is a part of that process. Like you have to have a relationship with my mum to have a relationship with me. Yeah. For me, because for you, because my mother is is an incredible matriarch, and she's very present and very in tune with me, and that's other energies coming in.
That's a beautiful thing there, bro.
So that's a gift that I have, where I can go to her, and if I came through the house with a woman, she could tell me the right energy of like, not like she's no good for you, but just like, I like her.
Well, it could
that
be
cosign is valuable. And my sister, again, another one, she can see her and be like, that, I like how she carries herself. That for me creates those bonds. So when those relationships don't work, there's a connection in your family still. So you're not having your child out.
How is it the other way around when you meet the other parents?
So I think that's what I'm saying. I thought I was going to the moon. So I'm like operating in upper middle class circles. This is all early mid-20s where I feel like I'm learning stuff that these guys don't get. So I'm going to get the information, come back to them with it. And I'm in these relationships, meeting their families. And while they're like upper middle class and they have some information, they don't have family anchoring the way we do. Yeah. So they're not even connected to each other like that. I'm like, where's the hugs in this family?
How did you feel walking into the household of the other mom and dad?
I hated it.
Hated it.
It was so I went in and I was like, do you know how great it would be to have additional parental figures, not literally like my mum and dad, but like elders who can give me any information about just getting to 60. So my thing at the moment is like, how do I get from 40 to 60 with my family intact, like my good relationships, anchoring, all those things. Right. So I'm sitting there thinking that's going to come, and it just never came. Like, you just turn up for dinner, you're sitting there, you're asking questions, and it's like, there's not really anything coming back. And I was like, look, I had an idea. I never even asked them. I never signed up to it. They never signed up to it. Sorry. So it turned out that it wasn't a possibility.
So I've now understood that it's not that important. It's not that important.
This is interesting. Go on.
It's not that important getting to know your partner's family and trying to seek the same values from them that you have in your household. Otherwise, you'll just be trapped in a bubble of seeking the same things and getting there enough the same results. Everybody at a certain age group grew, whether they was born in, the 50s or the 60s, they grew in a certain time in this country in a certain way. If one side of the family is European and the other side of the family is African, they're going to have different experiences. But if they're all family orientated, then there's not much. There's not much learning you can gain from that. You kind of need that. But the reason why I ask that question is because sometimes the way how we feel, sometimes what we're looking for from other family members and the way how we actually end up feeling, that can be a detriment to the actual relationship. You know, and I don't feel that. I feel today a lot more people are detached from even caring about the backgrounds of someone's upbringing or their parents. As long as you're good to me, you know what I mean? As long as you can make me feel nice, as long as you can communicate with me, that's all I care about. And that's where I think everyone's at this stage of time. And this is why most people don't really feel the need to go harder. I feel that they're not really on their God's gifts mission of what they was actually born for.
So I feel like going around the world at the moment and being around people, that disconnect has come at too great of a cost. I think family are just, they're your anchors in a way of, this is your return to base. You go out in the world, you try a thing, it goes well, it doesn't go well. You go back home, you sit in your parents' family living room, and it's the most humbling human experience that you will ever have. Seeing pictures of you when you were 6 years old on the wall, people calling you by the name they used to call you by, and you're eating the meal that you wanted to eat with the same fork that probably still is in the drawer. That for me is an incredibly important part of like my centering. And I think it's not that you have to have the same outlook, but family has to matter, like intentionally has to matter. It can't be like I see my family once a year, sometimes, maybe.
I think with me, I always felt family mattered a lot. I've kind of changed my vibe. I've the mission, like what we all sat down at the table as a youth, and I heard conversations as adults, and what the kids should be doing, and what, you know, the eldest in the room wanted to be done and stuff like that. I'm more on that, more on just like, oh, let's get together and have a party. Because what will happen is that we only end up meeting at birthdays, or we'll only end up meeting at, you know, 9 nights, funerals, weddings, christenings. That's what will happen. But when there's more of an incentive as to why we came to this country in the first place, what was we doing in the Caribbean? What was we doing just before then? You know what I mean? What's the actual mission? That's when you kind of like start bonding with your family for more than just what family's about. You know what I mean? You really connect with them on a different basis and start to really mold something which is sustainable past your lifetime.
I feel like that many other communities have engineered family in a way that has, yes, all those anchor things I was mentioning, and but all the things you're mentioning now, there's like, we have a mission, we have a business, we have a service that we're delivering regularly and consistently. That doesn't seem to have happened in our community at scale in a way where it's natural for us to like, you know, my mum has a shop, I take over a shop, I turn the shop into an online version of the shop, like, and then this person's going to do the delivery sides of it.
The African, the Caribbean culture is just been seeped, been played with, you know, right up to this point where now we're more happy of being, I've got the biggest one. You know what I mean? I'm the strongest. You know, it's like sometimes when we sit in rooms of our family members and they will speak about how great they were sexually. You might speak with your dad and your uncles. Boy, you know, when I was young, I had the gal them and and no boy could run with me in school and we just beat them up and I saw it. And sometimes I used to kick back and listen to these stories and I'm like, you know, I like those stories, but like, can we get to the bigger stories? Because these stories here haven't made, you know, good men great. These stories ain't what they make statues out of. You understand what I'm saying? You're not gonna be in the history books because you was a great fighter, you know, outside of boxing, but you was a great fighter in school and I take with the most gal man. It's like our culture really actually love that bravado-ness more than everything else. And I think we need to just fall back and get with the program, because every other culture will just surpass us while we're here greasing our elbow and, tickling our fancy with all these little stories of how bad we were and how sexual we were and the domination of the physicality of us, and while everyone else is just
like, it's okay.
You lot can be busy, being your bravado here while we take over the world.
And they're shopping in next to Primark and just,
you understand what I'm saying?
Whenever.
Like, most of us are more boxers and entertainers than we are of system owners and bank owners and stuff like that. So I used to listen to these stories, bro, and I used to be like,
just underwhelming. So like, if there was an imaginary title of Mayor of Blackness, you're just like in the UK Mayor of Blackness, you get to like have a general assembly, a town hall. Yeah. Where would the silver bullet be for you? Like the one thing that you would drive home as a message?
First, we have to kind of understand the segregation of race and cut that out. Because I feel as the darkest skinned people, we have less to worry about when it comes to mixing and mingling. In what way? In all ways. In all ways. We have less to worry about. In all ways, bro. So I think that division and that segregation culturally just has to be relaxed a little bit. I think we more have to understand that, it's all about DNA, it's all about bloodline, it's all about your genetics. That's the main thing, really. And if your genetics and your DNA match and you can, mingle well for a period of time and stuff like that, I think you should focus more on that than everything else. I think what we've been caught up with growing up in school, racism and all that sort of stuff, I think it's just a never ending cycle of going round on a treadmill. You know what I mean? And I think the quicker we understand that, the quicker we'll be able to progress, let go of the little things and think about the bigger picture. Like I say, man, family is important, but as long as you're on mission, don't just, it ain't about meeting each other to feel good, to see your parents deteriorate and then feel unhappy because you're meant to feel unhappy. I can't remember how many smiling faces I've seen at a funeral. This thing about leaving coffins open for you to see the trauma or that last vision of someone who was alive, and now you've seen them without life in their vessel. I think that's another trauma which I don't think we should be adopting. I don't think it's something.
Where did these values come from? Who was like feeding you that information? Is that again everyone that lived in your grandma's house? Is that what you picked up on your own? Is this your own?
I was a person that walked into every house. Cousins taught me stuff. My older cousins taught me stuff. Philip, Paula, Denise. People that's been around my father. People that's been around my mother. I've learned from everybody, bro. I've learned from everybody, so I just pick up these things, and I think I'm more speaking of what I've learned in the past 10, 15 years now than what I should have been learning like prior to that.
Because you've obviously built your own. You built a community through your music. There's a lot of people that was involved in that. Yeah. And then the people that were connected to them. So it's almost like...
It's easier to handle when there's more people.
Really?
Yeah.
By the way, I created a community and it was headache for a very long period of time.
It depends what you're creating a community for and who's delegating what and who's responsible for what.
What was the most important thing to you? Who did you have that was like the direct extension? Who were the main people that would be like, all right, if something was going on over there, I know that they would fix it and keep it moving?
Oh man,
did you have people like that?
That was the only kind of problem with me. I didn't have people like that for the business, but I had people like that for producing. So the So Solid situation, I was the producer, producing all the dub plates and that PDS. I was making Magnum beats. I was making so many different beats and stuff like that. Oh No was a prominent one. But then when I brought somebody on board, I fell back from producing. If I brought somebody on board to sing, then I would not try to sing as much. If I brought somebody on try to rap, then I wouldn't need to be on every song. So it makes it easier for me not to be in a studio while someone else is, and then maybe come at the end of the session or come on another day and just add my 2 pennies with. So it just depends what you're building a community for. If you're building a community for people to follow you, then no. But if you're building a community for people to be self-sustained and to build on their talents and stuff like that, then it becomes very, very easy. Like, I don't like the music business. I don't like the entertainment business. I don't like being popular. I've never liked it.
That's interesting.
When I wrote my mum in when I was in prison in 1997. I told my mum I'm going to retire when I was 25. I retired when I was 25, but not in that way.
So why didn't you not like it? I know you mentioned earlier that you were shy, but what specifically about music do you just not like?
The business. It's the music business. It's the people that want to hand you the opportunities, and the way how they manage you, and the way how the whole entertainment is rigged up. Let's think about it. In the UK, regardless what type of music you make, they focus on kids. Regardless what music you make, like the children. And I'm like, the children, they don't have bank cards yet. You know, like, they need to be chaperoned to the shop. Their parents have to buy it for them. So, but in every other country you go to, there's music being made for all age groups. Meaning, you know what I mean? So it's like majority of the music in the UK, I would say, in the UK and America is, well, UK, because America's began a little longer than us. It's just been the child's play, focusing on kids and just like learning about how sexual it is, how flirtatious it is, the amount of drugs that people try to introduce you to while you're in the business. It's just, I didn't like it. But I didn't know that before I got into the business. But when getting into the business, I said, oh, I made a good decision to want to retire. And I just didn't want to be an artist.
What is like, because I suppose being an artist is just like your expression, your ability to create.
Being an artist is
but
like,
to be an artist
like
is
being
in
a
a
worker.
product. Yeah, when you're the product is the artist, it's different, I assume.
What do you mean?
Like, because like when you're just creating the art, if you're in the studio, that's when you're being an artist.
Yeah.
But when you're a product and someone's invested in you, it's not just about creating art.
You're right. It's not just about creating art, man. It's like you step into a whole nother ball game.
Is that because they had a design for you that you necessarily, not that you couldn't control, but there was constant like a desire to mold you into something?
It doesn't seem like they're trying to mold you into something. It seems like they're just trying to, they know it's a money exchange. They know how much you're worth and they want you to make money for them. And everything will be great as long as you're making money for them, you know? And whatever the business has to throw at you, whatever shows we present you with, whatever brands we present you with,
You gotta do it.
try your best to do it. In our times, it wasn't you got to. It was like, if you like the brand, you do it. If you don't like it, you don't do it. Because labels didn't make any money from branding.
Right, okay.
They made money just from sales of music. So I thought it was a cool exchange. You know, you sign us for a certain amount, you're making $10.99 from an album, you're making $2.99 from a single. It was a cool exchange. But you're not going to have me doing this forever. Furthermore, you're not going to have me doing this past 10 years. I'm going to set up a company and I will provide you with people, with artists or people who love doing that and would love to be superstars and would love to be an artist like a Mariah Carey or a Jay-Z. I would rather be on that side of the business than me be a rapper and spitting on the mic for 10 years. And I see it the same as when I was in the streets and I was dabbling in a little bit of weed and marijuana, throwing some boxes around my lads. It was like, how long are we going to do this for?
Is that a genuine question you had?
Yeah. How long are we going to do this for? And if you've got the shittest weed, like, how long are you going to be known for selling the shittest weed before you upgrade or stop doing what you're doing. So I see it the same as the business. I came into this business for a period of time to make a certain amount to move on to something else. Not my fault, but my fault as well. The problems, the protection, you know, helping people out, getting caught up with things. That happens along the way.
How much of that happened in real time was you able to like observe? Like I have this thing of like in flow, you don't get to see all the elements in the same way. Like when did you know it was a problem? Did you know straight away, or was it like it's just happening and you're like, I'm responding to this, and before you know, you're responding to loads of things that are just causing more headache?
You always know the problem. You always see a problem. It's whether you want to put yourself in line to handle the issue. And I would say like back in the day when you looked at the aggressive type of youths that were around, they were just missing something, man. They just needed love from their mums and dads, man. You know what I mean? And outside of their circle of friends, their group of friends and whatever drugs they wanted to take, they were real soft people. They were real soft youths. You know what I mean? And I could see that from early. So for people who didn't know, I had to put myself on the line. And many others, couple others in my crew who were, you know, a lot more aggressive than me in the streets at that time, like your Faces, your Max. Couple other man them as well. You know what I mean? Like they would, we would have to put ourselves on the front line for those sort of characters. People that that weren't involved in any street activities, that maybe came from football, that maybe came from, you know, a little bit more of a decent upbringing, I would say. And just help them out. There was a couple guys in the crew that when they came around us would talk a certain way, you know, act a certain way, like bad boys and stuff like that, get caught up and would have to come out and, you know, just assist in certain situations. But I was never comfortable with the process. But like I say, I was a person where I felt I could do all things to a certain degree, but not forever. You know what I mean?
So then do you just feel like, because I always think to myself, like, who would I have been without having to psychologically go through the process of believing that it's either them or me? There was periods where I genuinely thought, like, if I don't become the aggressor, I may not be here.
Look, there's a way of navigating through the streets, bro. Some people are smart and some people ain't smart. Half of the people who have an attitude and a bad boy attitude, half of us were wary, half of us were scared, half of us were paranoid. Like, we just knew how to maneuver and how to be real with it and be fake with it sometimes, because you're not always in the mood to take care of someone's problems or even your own. So you just got to know how to navigate it, but utilize your friends as well. Utilize each other in a scenario. So 4 of us walk in a room, there's somebody who we know to be bad. 2 of us are on it, 2 of us ain't. It's not happening that day, mate. Because we're gonna get embarrassed, and my man who's paranoid and more angry and has more trauma than us will easily override that. But with the 4 on job, you're gonna embarrass the baddest known boy. You know what I mean? And humble him. And majority of the time, that's what we had to do when it came to a lot of my members. You know. Like but my crew boys, they haven't gone through this business being robbed and being embarrassed and stuff like that. If we were embarrassed, we were rushed. There's no 1 or 2 or 3 man that came across myself or any key person around us at that time and got away with being rude or bad boys. But if it's 15, 16 of them onto 1 or 2, then it is what it is. Yeah. So you've had 2 big moments where your freedom was. Am I getting this right? Yeah.
Where your freedom was in question.
Yeah.
Does the idea of what's it like to sit with that? because for me, I think going to jail was just one of the biggest things that is a barrier for me. Like, I used to behave within the framework of like, if I feel like this is a jail mission I'm going on, that was my barrier.
My people have always said, whatever you put yourself in, make sure you're the biggest person in that scenario. Whatever scenario you put yourself in, just make sure you're not the average you in that scenario. Make sure you're not the smallest. You know what I mean? Make sure you're not the most intimidated in that scenario. So whatever I put myself in, I prepared my mind for it. You know, I was never like just swooped off the streets by police unexpectedly. I always had time to prepare myself to hand myself in. And
but does that change you though? Once you're in that scenario, like you said that you wrote a letter to your mother and you're like, I want to retire. Is that the first time you had like that introspection? Was it like in that moment you're like, I don't like the music industry?
Because I remember I didn't actually experience the music industry before 97, 98. Yeah. So from 94, 95 onwards, I was what? 94, I'm 44 now, I was 13. Yeah. 93, 13. Yeah, going on 14. 94, 14 going on 15. So it's like I really had to prepare myself for every scenario that I was put in, and I didn't experience the industry that much, but I already had a singing group at that time. I already was doing, you know, different talent shows across the UK, well, across London, and I was signed to an independent label called GSM. You know, heard myself on Trace FM now and again, but I actually thought, I'm going to be big. We're going to be like Jodeci or Boys to Men. And we went from calling ourselves Too Hype, Too Young to Legacy. That was me, Mega, Seth, Shabs, Keish, Swiss.
That's crazy.
AC Burrell.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was like the main singers of the group. Then you had Rudy, that was a part of the group, wanted to be involved and sing as well. But we looked like an odd group. That was one. For two, when I got the opportunity to be in Ultimate Chaos, it was because I think one of them fell ill and was either leaving the group. Now, I didn't see it as an opportunity just to be in a group. I saw it as an opportunity to showcase my group. So when I got asked to come down to the studio, I was singing songs, you know, singing tracks and other like songs that were already written, but I had to sing them. And it was then at a point in time when they said, bring in your group. So I brought in my group, we sang, I said, man, we're better than every group. Because we could sing better than majority of the groups that we knew. And I got the call one time and they said, oh, we don't want your group.
Right.
We want you. And the lady at that time, Pauline, Jade from Outer Chaos, he's from our estate. That's PDS in So Solid. PDS is brother, younger brother.
Okay.
So PDS was already big as well. Like, he used to really manners us back in the day when we were younger. But there was a program called, is it 391 Club? Where people used to go on TV and get booed off and that. So he
was from the Hackney Empire.
He appeared in that as well as a dancer and that. So they done quite well on that. But when I was in jail now and saw Ultimate Chaos on TV, I was like,
did it land dead? It's like,
nah,
we
man,
weren't rapping.
This has to be, like I said, I'm in jail and Jaden Imps on TV. This isn't my destiny. Like, there's more.
So then can you speak to what proximity did then? Because like, as I said, I didn't understand what it took to be a football player. You've got some proximity now to people that are on TV performing. That's now, is that the information that you just needed to like join the dots and go do your thing?
It's the information I needed to know that. Remember, I was grown very, very confident to know that whatever you go through, you're going to be what you want to be. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it was, in my DNA, in my system. I don't know. I'm an Aries as well.
Same. When's your birthday? Mine's
12th.
next week. 11th of April. That's crazy.
So,
that's crazy. Okay,
you understand what I'm saying? So I was grown a little bit overconfident, bro, to say whatever I dreamed is going to happen. So my parents would tell me, my dad mainly, your dream is your past, your present, or your future. Work it out. It could be something that's already gone. It could be something that's coming, or it could be something that's about to happen now. Like when you rest, you're not actually resting. When you go to sleep, you're not actually sleeping. Read those things, and look, not everything is exactly that. Sometimes it could be telling you something to tell somebody else. It could be giving you advice or whatever. But that's how I looked at my dream. So when I had a dream in jail, flashing lights, my whole crew, my team, I woke up out of the dream like, yo, face, wake up, brother. We're going home. You know, I see flashing lights and it's gonna happen for us. So yeah, I felt in jail that there's no way this is the end and be all for me. Yeah.
For you going in onwards, like how does it go from what you had in terms of having a singing group to like going around and turning it into? Because it was more than just that. You didn't replicate that with just rappers. It felt more than
me
that.
Though. It wasn't me.
Who was it?
I couldn't give it to me. When I came out of jail, I just went back to selling a bit of weed. You know, maybe subconsciously looking for opening to make things happen. But if it wasn't for Mac and PDS, there wouldn't be no Soul Solid Crew.
Explain their role in it.
Because they got an offer to go on a radio station, and PDS was looking for me, Mac was looking for Nitro.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so PDS said, nah, let me get Mega. Mac was like, Nitro's the one, trust me, blood. And Nitro was the one, proper MC as well. You know, just at those times, a lot of the man them were doing computer chips, Megs. You don't know about?
No.
Back in the day, there was a thing where people used to get computer chips and sell them for thousands of pounds, Megs and that. So there would be like office buildings that would just get robbed.
Oh my!
Yeah, gosh. And they would just lick off office buildings. You just brought a crazy and the chips in the drives and that were worth money.
Yeah.
You get me? So a lot of man was doing that. And certain people, allegedly, certain people like Nitro, his brother, and a couple others, they were deep on that. So them man, they were making thousands, tens of thousands of pounds weekly, radio station and MCing, and nobody saw that as a hustle.
Yeah.
People saw that as a joke thing. You understand what I'm saying? It's usually a radio station usually set up in a crackhead's house or some derelict house somewhere. And man's coming up there MCing and someone's making a living off it, but no one's trying to take it serious. So, yeah, that wasn't seen as anything big. So me and Nitro went up to the radio station. Nitro's MCing, I'm MCing. Like, I kind of liked it. Me and Nitro wasn't really gelling. So Nitro's got a different style of MCing. So he kind of stopped coming up there. And me, I just continued on because I liked it, man. I liked MCing a bit. It gave me the house party vibe. I was a little sound boy, younger sound boy at the time. And yeah, I just stayed on. And then after that, PDS was the one who brought in Romeo. So PDS brought in...
Are these all in the same area? Or are these people like from different areas?
We're all from the same area. But look, me and Romeo was in a sound.
Right, okay.
Before. But he wasn't called Romeo.
Right, okay.
When PDS said he's bringing the MC Romeo to the table, I didn't think it was Marvyn from my sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's still in the Wandsworth borough, but moved to like Southfields area instead of Clapham Junction. So when he said Romeo, I was like, Romeo? What do you mean Romeo? Lo and behold, it's Marvyn, old school. Oh, go on, bro. Yeah. Right. So everyone's just clicking up. And it's just a matter of time until we gelled and just started to bring more people on. But like I say, it wasn't me trying to mold a singing group. It was Mac, PDS. I would say PDS had more of a knack for bringing in talent. Mac had more of a knack for seeing an opportunity, bringing it to his friends to make it happen. And then Mac is like the highway to heaven guy. Yeah, he's gonna go and find another one, and then tell people to come and do it. And then you gotta let Mac go. You gotta let Mac go again.
He has a vision.
Cause Mac's gonna go find another one. You understand what I'm saying? So he has a vision that his friends can create something from it, but he has to bring the right friends to be able to create something from it. And he might not be the person to bring all the right friends to the table. He will bring 2 or 3 man that will bring the right friends to the table.
Right. Okay.
But you can't say, Mac, you're hands-on with this now forever with us. Mac would be like, boy, I'm involved, but man, don't box me off like that, bro. Yeah. I'm the highway to heaven guy. You know? Let me go and find the next one. Let me go find the studio. Let me go find a car place. Let me go find a, you know what I mean? And I think Mac was great at that. PDS great at finding talent. And myself, I'm an all-rounder, bro. Sorry to say.
So how did it get so anchored around you though? Because I felt like basically throughout most of the height of it, it was like you.
Yeah. Because I was the only person that really knew music.
Right.
Out of me, Romeo, Mac, G-Man, PDS, I already had experience in studio.
Right. Okay.
I already had experiences on the mic. I've already been MCing and been a sound boy, toasting here, making lyrics myself, writing songs myself. You know what I mean? Being signed, doing talent shows and all of that. When all the things that my friends thought weren't cool, I've already done that.
Okay, the technical element to it. Yeah.
Yo, you don't want to sing to the girls? I've already done that. You know, you don't want to do the running man and dance and do the box splits and that? I've done that, bro. You don't want to sit in studio next to a geek that's an engineer because he speaks because you can't walk in a room, you know what I mean, and hold your decorum and not giggle because people are dressed different.
Sound engineers are the most disrespected people.
You know what I mean? Because someone talks a bit, oh no, you can't do that. You can do that, you know, bro. You know what I mean? Some people don't know how to code switch and change according to their environments. And I was fortunate to be in all those environments, hold my, you know what I mean? My hold myself to a decent moral standards, respect my elders, and go through and make music and come out with something that was worth showing. So I felt I was one of those guys, and I was very good at everything. The name Mega was given to me by a friend of mine called Reggie, who was in secondary school. I think it was first year in secondary school, second year in secondary school. And I was good at football, basketball, cricket, running. You know what I mean? So it's like, Mega, nah, man, your name should be called Mega, man, because you're good at a lot. Like, you know, with the person that everyone's going to pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Regardless what team it is or what thingy we're playing. If we're playing volleyball, we're picking Mega. The only thing we're not going to pick Mega in is swimming. Yeah. Swimming, that might be something you can't put Mega in on, but everything else, I'm either first or second pick. So that's where they got the name Mega from. So I just kind of lived to that name, and I was good at a lot of things. So in So Solid now, I wasn't only the producer, I was the one that was buying up most of the records and finding out the latest thing and looking in the room and looking around and being like, yo, we need to do a white label. Yo, we need to do our own raves. Yo, we need to do this. Creating brands. The name So Solid, that's my name. What happened, we was called SOS. So like the crew came together as we called ourselves So Solid. So it was called SOS. I think Matt looked on a Nortel phone and saw SOS and said,
okay.
SOS.
That's so random. But yeah, okay, so I get random. That. Yeah.
Got big up Mac anyway. A DJ called SOS was on Upfront FM at that time, which is one of the biggest pirate stations ever in South London. Yeah, so big up front and the owners of that. And yeah, the DJ called up one time and says, my fucking name's DJ SOS. Who the fuck are you guys? You know what I mean? Really giving it, bro. And Mac was gonna tell him about himself. You know, G-Man was about, blood, we just take his name, man. What are you talking about? I can't tell man that. I said, listen, we can either take his name or we can create our own, blood. We're bigger than that. We're bigger than that. Now, this is before vocals have gone on songs and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's early. Okay.
This is early. So I've gone home and I've sat down in my granddad's chair. My granddad had a chair. Yeah, my uncle's dad had a chair, yeah, that he used to sit in all the time. Sometimes we'll come downstairs late night, switch on the light, and he's in the chair. Real haunted type of. Now he's a maroon.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Dark skin, yellow eyes.
Yeah.
So it's like him sitting in the dark when you're coming downstairs middle of the night trying to sneak some more sweets or juice and that was a bit scary. But he was born the same day as me. He used to give us our bitters back in the day and help clear us out and stuff like that.
Bitters.
Yeah, jeez, man. So he had all of the remedies but he used to tell my dad, yo, like, your son's special. You get me? I was born full moon, midnight. Yeah. You go.
So you're quite spiritual then?
We'll get to that point. It might be another podcast when we want to get into religion and spirituality.
I'm sensing a view, yeah? And it's coming out.
Listen, when I used to sleep, I just quickly slip into this. When I used to sleep, nothing used to be solid.
Okay.
So as I'm drifting off to sleep, the wall you see little dots on the wall, everything would move. Nothing was solid. Like I could put my hand through the wall and I felt I would fall out the building. That's how scared I was. You get me?
I want you to complete the thing though.
Yeah. I had like I used to look around and yeah, bro. I don't know. I had a different energy maybe when I was young. I grew out of that over a period of time. So yeah, spiritual in some aspects, but it's deeper than spiritual, man. It's a lot deeper than that.
I think I know exactly what you're saying.
It's a lot deeper than that. But when we want to have a proper discussion about, mystic schools and religion and
when did you
knowledge
first become
and
present to that though? Because it's a very powerful.
At the age of 11, 12, my dad's 12 tribe, Egyptian Book of the Dead, 42 Laws of Ma'at. There's so many different books that I was shown at a young age. Reading the ISIS papers, coming across financial intelligence books and stuff like that. I was really into all of that at a young age. So,
but because that's a massive understanding and centering for you, do you then find it difficult to integrate or?
I'm an introvert, bro. I don't like humans. I can't say I don't like humans, but
there's a disconnect. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a comfortable space. It's not a space where you're free to be. It's kind of like you sit in it and understand what it is.
Yeah. I sit and I understand it, but I don't 100% enjoy it.
I get that. I
don't enjoy it. I wanna come out for the purpose, and that's it.
Interesting.
Like if I was a gangster and done the bad boy thing, just call me for the purpose. I don't want no one to know me. You know what I mean? If I'm a businessman, call me to do business.
But the passer, the chatter, the hanging out,
just coming out for people's birthday parties. I'm not the one to call me. You want to help arrange the birthday party? Call me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want me to come and show face for a couple minutes, fine, out of respect.
But you shared so much energy with so many people. At what point did you just be like, it must have been mad? Because
this is why you got to shake your energy off. You got to know how to de-energize. Just staying away from people, bro. And being in a calm space and relaxing my whole vibe. Like, I like to be in dark rooms. I'd pause. I like to be in my house, lights off, chilling, you know what I mean, thinking, planning next, whatever it is. Like, I don't believe that we should be working hard for anything in life. I don't believe it. I believe you should work hard on yourself. I believe you should be working hard on your mindset, finding out how your body functions, different parts of your body and health and nature and stuff, but working hard for everything else outside of that, I don't believe in. So some people say that's a spiritual thing, but I
suppose it's like people use spirituality as a collective word for just like a hybrid of religion. What do you believe in? What do you energetically connect to? But no one really knows what it means. Well, I think what you're speaking to is even more higher than, it's not just spirituality.
Yes,
it's a way of being.
Yes, yes, definitely a way of being, man. Like I say, that whole so solid thing, my friends saw something in me that I didn't necessarily see in myself, and they put me to the forefront to, not only because I came up with the name So Solid, so So Solid Crew is my name that I came up with and said, look, let's call ourselves So Solid Crew. Not only because of the way how they saw my dad's side of the family grow me, but the way how I am. I'm not selfish. I'm for everybody. If somebody comes to me today with an opportunity, I'm thinking about the whole crew and myself last. And if the whole crew's not involved, just don't call me out, Maroon. You know? And that's most probably why the whole So Solid thing really centered around me. Because they know when Mega's going in there, he's not speaking for himself. He's not selfish. He's not going to come up with a deal that just benefits him. Everybody's going to eat. Whether I'm the shittest or the greatest in the crew, I'm going to get something from when Mega goes in there and comes out with it. And not everybody's like that.
That's fair.
You know?
There was a time when you said, when you came off remand, was you acquitted or what was the formal language of what happened?
The first time we came off remand, 97, that was not guilty.
And the second time was?
The second time was, there were some technicalities as to why I got bail, but it was not guilty again. There was no one was dropping cases against there was nobody dropping cases against me. I literally had to prove my position in all scenarios, and this is why I'm still here.
What does it feel like to be a target? Like I've never had that feeling of genuinely people want the end of your freedom. They would like to
in
target
what way?
you specifically. Who? Well, I think if a prosecutor is coming for you, the prosecutor wasn't coming for you in a like. I think it may be him. It was like whether it's him or not. From what I read in my testimony was like, I heard that it was like regardless, I would like to place this person in that position. And they were like moving evidence out of the way and testimony out of the way
that's
to make happening. It so.
Yeah.
What does that feel like though? That must be so overwhelming at the height of your career,
bro.
As well.
I have felt it from my own people.
Really? Explain.
I felt it from primary school in the littlest way. It could be because someone wants to be on a team and don't want me involved in a team. It could be an opportunity that somebody knew was for me, but instead went for it themselves. Could be many things. All of these things were molding me, but I dealt with it from in the house, from outside the house, school, secondary school, being in the streets. We dealt with it. These are all the challenges that we had from our own people. So facing it in the system, it's normal.
Is that a part of the reason why you choose to abstain from being around certain people? Is it that? Because I always feel like when you're at the peak of whatever you're doing, people are just looking for a reason to bring you down. That's your own people. That's the people that obviously observe you.
You enjoy it.
Yeah?
Look, at a young age, I enjoyed it, bro. You know what I mean? I enjoyed...
What were some of the fruits
of
that time? I enjoyed
the dodging and letting people know, because it's chess, innit? It's like you let people know you're serious, but you might not really want to be serious with them. But you have to let people know you're serious. And if you play the game right, you'll live to see the day. If you play the game wrong, you might live to see the day, but you'll end up doing a lot of time in jail. You know? And you just got to, if you're good at chess, you're gonna play it well. You're gonna play the game of life well. And I can't say I just enjoyed it, but the challenge of taking care of people and keeping people safe, I felt that nothing would come to me, nothing would come in my way detrimental at all, because I'm taking care of people in the right foot. I'm doing it for the right cause.
That makes sense. I have a music question now. The album They Don't Know has an absurd amount of hit records on it. Like absurd. Do you feel it gets spoken as a classic enough? Because I always hear about Kano, Dizzy. I hear about those.
I don't think big up Kano. Kano, classic rapper. Definitely has some classic tunes. I'm not sure if he had a classic body of work, which done the numbers, cleaned up awards, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Dizzy, same scenario, good MC. I think most of his greatest achievements are in the pop sector. And I think his first album, couple songs known as classics, but you know, I don't think his whole body of work with Boy in the Corner is an actual classic. That's just me speaking. So Solid album, if you listen to the album, remember, it's not just me producing on there. The very difference about So Solid crew and with everybody else is that the producers were so solid, the rappers were so solid, the singers were so solid. None of us have ever made a hit before in our lives. None of us has ever released another body of work with anybody else in the business for a label to say, go with that producer and make that song. Go with this songwriter and make this. This guy from East London's hot, I think you should. This guy done a song with this person and that person, I think you should. Everyone made those songs for the first time, you know? And I would say fortunate for us that we had people like myself, Swiss, Keish, AC Burrell, Shabs, and even JD that had a good knowledge of studio equipment, experience of music sounds and stuff like that, as to why majority of the music that came out from So Solid, you can still play it today and it doesn't sound like it's out of place.
It's crisp.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I feel that those set of boys within the So Solid fold helped to make good, decent songs of that time. And like I say, there was no credible producers, no credible rappers or singers.
What was your reference point?
I didn't have a reference point. I just knew what a good B line should sound like, or what a good snare should sound like. And I would make the engineer go through different. Look, I would hear 21 seconds. Everybody would come and spit to 21 seconds as is. The producer would do what he would do as is. And when everyone's left the studio, Mega's in the studio.
Right.
With the engineer, revamping the beats.
Right.
Making sure the bass line is fatter than what it originally is. Making sure that the sounds ain't as tinny as they originally were. So synth would come to us with skeleton body of work and would need somebody to bring it forth. G-Man had very good ideas. So I've got to big up G-Man because he's the person that would have the idea of a song, but maybe not able to complete the song to make sure that it could stand up amongst a level of music out there. So he would say, Megs, like, I know I've got the beginning part. I just need you to just finish it off, like, because you know how to finish off a song. But G-Man was good at the idea and was good at handling money. The creating of the song, putting people on it, making it gel, knowing what a good bar is, knowing what a good section in the song is. He would leave that down to other members of the crew. So I feel like that.
So is that the most iconic UK album from our world, in your view?
The most iconic UK album which sold the most first week from Streets. Yes, most definitely.
Are there any other albums that you respect that you listened to and thought that really stands up for what it is, even up to more modern ones?
Yeah, I like what Stormzy's done. I like what J Hus has done. Gets. I like Potter Papers joint. I like, you know what it is? I like that they're creating all of these albums were justified for their time. If you put them all out at the same time, you might think maybe not that one or maybe not this one. But for all the times that these albums came out, all of them were justified. You can go right back to Tinchy Strider's album, Tiny Temper's album. All of these guys that made good albums, I think they were cool for their time, and they broke records. Tiny Temper has the most number ones. So Solid, we most probably sold the most out of most artists today. You know, yeah, and others is for their lyrical content. And some people scooped up awards, but I would say the only reason why I like our body of work is the impact that it had. We didn't have to do 10 albums to get an award, you know, or a number one. Roll the dice again. Hopefully we get the number one. Roll the dice again. Hopefully we get the award. We got it straight away. You know what I mean? Release the album, 300 sales first week. You know what I mean? Release the album, multiple award nominations. Won nearly all of them. 11 awards in the space of 2 years. You know, release the album, and, you know, every other member who you know should have got an album deal got an album deal.
Everyone got an album deal.
You know what I mean?
I don't know anybody.
Lisa, Asha. Everyone's
favourite artist got an album deal.
Everyone got an album deal.
Were you involved in each of those album deals?
Right. Now, let's get back to this. At a stage or point of time, everybody started to become, I would say, kind of like their own boss. Rah, I've got my deal. I want to try this now.
Right, okay.
You know? Romeo, I've got my deal. I want to try this. Asha, I've got my deal. I want to try this. Now, A&Rs got involved. I think at that stage of time when we got those solo deals, a lot of the A&Rs around, well, there was one A&R called Julian. I think he got too personally involved in the process. And the artists, you know, they were managed by, not by me, but they were managed by Albert Samuels at the time. And I think they just wanted to experiment and do their thing. What they should have done, which was contractually, which was on the contract, is that we are responsible. Sosa the Crew Productions are responsible for producing your first album, for presenting your first album.
That's true.
Yeah, so you signed through Sosa the Crew Productions. Now, what we're meant to do was help you bring a body of work, all the songs, get your features, you know, help you get the studio time and do all of that. Asha done that mainly himself. Romeo done that mainly himself. And Lisa and G-Man, because G-Man was my business partner, tried to do that mainly themselves. What happened is that Romeo produced the album, which I don't even think Romeo wants to perform in this day and age. And I think his album is nice. Christina Milian, It's All Gravy. Yo. You know what I mean? Like, and
the sample in that. That's yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, Romeo's gone and created an album that he doesn't want to listen to today. And you don't see it on streaming platforms today.
Didn't even think of that. Of course. That's crazy though.
You understand what I'm saying? Asher D, Ashley Waters, he created an album that he doesn't even want to perform today. That it is not on any streaming platforms today. You know what I mean? Lisa Mafia, yeah, went and tried to create an album, and then the label came back after those two scenarios ended up how they ended up. Label came back to us and said, "Look, Mega, we need you involved in this album properly. Otherwise, it's just gonna go tits up." You know what I mean? And at that time, Lisa and G-Man, they weren't writing the most, but they had the most jewelry. They had the most cars. So I liked how G-Man was looking after Lisa at the time, man. I love how he just felt over the scenario. Lovely to see, man. And yeah, me and Albert had to go into independent artists, salvage some more money from them, book a studio in Hastings, and actually go and revamp and rework on Lisa's album. And that's where you get your all overs.
Yeah.
That's where you get your Woman of the World. That's where you get your In Loves. AC Burrell, In Love. JD,
so
Woman of the World. And that's why Lisa Mafia's album is on the streaming platforms. This is why Lisa Mafia has a couple songs that she can perform to this day in front of thousands of people, just like how she can perform 21 Seconds. Because the formula was not broken. The formula
do you think it was more pro themselves or was it anti you at that time?
It could have been a bit of both. Could have been a bit of both.
But how does that make you feel though?
It doesn't.
I have a thing of like, if you gave me something that was the winning formula, I'm gonna keep doing it until it doesn't work, or we can't stand each other, or something has to happen. But
you know what it is? When people are around you, your closest people, they might not see the formula. Because they see you every day. They see you in studio. They don't see you when everyone's in bed. I'm still in studio. When everyone's in bed, I'm flyering nightclubs. I'm the one out there with the record deal, flyering nightclubs, putting flyers on cars, billboard postering and stuff. When everyone's sleeping, I'm the one that's still doing the numbers. I might not have the fanciest car at the time or the most jewels on my neck. But I am the one that's sacrificing the most to get the job done. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Look, when you're, like I say, when you're so close to it, you don't see it. You don't see it being that special. You think, right, I can do that. Whatever he's done, I can do that. Whatever sound that he feels is good for this album, I can work out what's good for an album too. You know, and I think it's just a bit of that. It's a bit of both, you know, them wanting to do their own thing, but also, you know, taking the responsibility away from who should really have the responsibility. Years ago, I done an interview called Point Blank, and I said, we got the guys in deals where they had no obligation to, but I didn't quite finish it. It was, we had people in deals where even if they didn't deliver the album, it would have been on Social Crew Productions to deliver the album. So us as a business would have been responsible for delivering an album by hook or crook. You know, and if the artist went AWOL, then everything would have fell on us as a business. So yeah, everyone got their album deals, but Lisa's one was mainly helped and created by us. As to why First Lady album is still streaming and doing its numbers.
So do you feel like there's just a lack of trust in general though? Because I've never known, but that's probably the closest we've ever come to a musical movement, a musical dynasty of like artists creating artists and then going off to make their own. And obviously if those albums then became classics in their own right, that would have led to 3-5 album extensions and it would have continued.
What I feel everyone should have done was looked on how we done the Soul Solid album and just kept that same formula.
And just made songs from there.
Yeah, I would have done that.
Yeah.
I would have been like, what, you think I want to perform everywhere by myself and ride up and down these countries and have to do interviews by myself and do every single interview by myself? Right, I'm going to do this with my crew so that I ain't got to wake up and do the only interview. 10 of us has to do interviews. 10 of us has to go and do performances. You know what I mean? We all get a share of the Lions meal and that, so...
What's your relationship with them now? Like, let's talk about the main crew, the crew that everyone knows.
It's just business. It's always been business for me. I've been friends with people, but it's always been business for me. And I like it that way. No, I like it. I like it when I'm calling somebody and I've got something to offer them, more than calling them to say, how's your kid? Yeah. And let's go out for dinner. Let's go spend some money and let's go, I'll come around to your house later. I think I was past that way ages ago. I think Ashley Waters was more somebody thought I wasn't that close to him as a friend more than Swiss was, but I wasn't here to be your buddy. I was here to be, you know, your mentor. I was here to be a guidance for you. You know what I mean? I was here to protect certain things. Because most of the people who came across as aggressive to some of these artists and stuff like that, I didn't see them as aggressive boys, whether they was from Streatham, whether they were from Clapham Junction. I didn't see them as aggressive. I saw them as, you know, so yeah, I felt it was my duty to be that way and not any closer.
Why not continue? Why not, you know, create 2024 So Solid? Why not do it again under a different brand?
So Solid as an organization was an organization that was bringing through talent. It was never meant to be, the faces that you see today. It was just meant to be, all right, you've got a crew, but there's many faces in there and you're going to see careers from all of these different individuals. We just wanted to be an organization that signed talent and brought through talent. Like, you had a lot of people behind the sidelines, you know, like Chinatown, Natalie, Nadia, the two sisters, as well as Mel. You've had your Demanis, you've had your Dark Sides, you've had two Jedis. There's been so many different artists, Fog Angels and the female twins, so many different people that didn't get to accomplish what they needed to because the organization was stopped, not just the crew. So the organization was kind of brought to its knees to a certain degree, which stifled us from bringing through more talent, you know. And
would you do it again? Universal call and like, hey, would you want to come in and set up a situation?
I've done this thing plenty of times before. I've had like 9 to 7 different artists. I've had models, Labella from Birmingham, Gemma Fair, Miss Jamaica 13 years ago, a lady called Baby, DJ Sarah Harrison, Laurent Alexandra, Intensity, a beatboxer. I've had like 9 to 10 to 13 different artists. Leanne Jarvis, Jamie Lynch, so many different artists. The thing is that when individuals bring artists to me, I don't class myself as a manager. I class myself as a creator. So everyone that has brought artists to me, I've even had producers, Insane Beats and other people. And when they've brought them to me and I've said, look, the person who brought you to me is your manager. That's your lawyer, that's your friend. You get me? I'm the person that would help do the rest. You know what I mean? And after a while, it's like they wanted me to be the manager. It's like they didn't like the professionalism of the person who brought them to the table. And I was like, there is no such thing as professionalism. There's just a way how you would like things being done.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? And if you want that person to do it that way, tell them and I'm sure it will be done because I'm here to facilitate that. But I just felt that for ever so often, people just wanted me to be more hands-on. And I didn't want to be more hands-on. And I don't like showing people the... At one stage of time, I tried to make myself feel small and normalize myself as much as possible, bro, because the responsibility that people want to have you on and the pedestal that people want to have you on, I don't like it. It's not comfortable. I'm not an extra daddy. I'm not an extra mommy. You know what I mean? I'm not the superhero. I'm not here to save the day. So sometimes I actually play small on purpose. You know? Act small on purpose.
You say that's for
not
peace?
The loudest one in the room. For myself, peace, but also just to let them know that don't look at me as high as you try to look at me, because I'm just like you. I was just like you at one stage of time. So I'm going to show you the normal me. Manage it well. And that was my vibe with a lot of young artists. Maybe they might look back and see, you know what, Mega, you was right, you know. You know what, Mega, the way how you went on, everyone else has an ulterior motive and you didn't. You know what I mean? Especially when you're dealing with female in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I was actually what a manager was meant to be, or what a creator was meant to be. No ulterior motives, no nothing. You know what I'm gonna admire about you as a female or as a lady in the game? That you accomplish what you say you're gonna accomplish. without all the extra expectations. And that would make me admire them more than anything else. So yeah, with me, I just felt that I wanted to be the creator of things, but I didn't want to be known to be the creator of things. I wanted to be the, you know, the businessman of So Solid, but I didn't want everybody to see it. So I'm in a crew where I'm not the most popular person in the crew.
Who was the most popular in your eyes?
I'm just the most important.
Who was the most popular in your eyes?
Sometimes it wavers. You know what I mean? If Lisa Matthews releasing her album at a time and we're pushing her to the forefront, at that time she can be the most popular. If Romeo is, you know, doing all the bookings and doing MC, and you could be the most. If Harvey's on TV doing presenting, he can be popular. If Asher's going into acting and still doing a bit of music with us now and again, you could be the most popular. Be the most popular, lads. I don't want to be popular. Like, keep me in the shadows.
What do you think, if you think, because we've had this conversation, it's been over, I didn't realize it's an hour and 40 minutes, but like, what I'm sensing is that I never got this nuance. I've watched about 6 interviews of yours, and there's loads of information which is I refuse to go down because I don't think it's important. I wanted to know what's the magic, what's the gift in you. You've shared as much of that as you're comfortable doing. But like, is there any other things that you just would like to remove this sort of certain ideas around you in the public?
Look. People have a stigma about me, my reputation, what I've been through. And I tell people this, I can be around the most evilest person, and bring them back to normality. I could be around the person has the most optimism about life. Yeah, we're going to do it. And just bring them back to normality. You know, I can be in the shadows, I can be on the mountains, or I can be in hell. I could be in heaven or hell, bro. Regardless where I am, bruv, I'm going to make it happen. You know, that's what I'm saying. But I'm a person that can be in all environments and be that linchpin, you know. I might not be the soldier, but I'm the general in the offices. I'm the one that, all right, strategically, we're going to do this. I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those persons that you need someone like me. In those rooms, whether it's on the streets, you need someone like me, or whether it's in the business, you need someone like me. You might not need me,
someone like me,
but you need someone like me. You need someone like me. Yeah,
maybe you don't need me, but you need.
You might not need me, but you need someone like me, because I'm one of those people. If we're in the streets and you want to be a drug dealer and the top drug dealer, you're going to need someone with my brain. You're going to need someone with my know-how on how to navigate a certain part of this organization. If we're in the music business and we're doing, you know, whatever business it is, you're going to need someone with my mindset and my know-how, my confidence to execute a certain part of this plan, you know? And when it comes into the science of life and knowledge, I had a crew which nearly covered every zodiac in this, not every star sign in the zodiac. You understand what I'm saying? We were moving like Jesus and the disciples, bro. You know, like Isis and, you know, and Osiris. And to me, I kind of grew up with the knowledge that if you have every, you know, character in your crew or in your business, and you have every star sign constellation in your business, and you have, I hope I'm saying it right, have every star sign in the constellation within your business, I think I always felt you have a full circle. I always felt that the energies spiritually and you know, just magnetically, you would have a full circle. Now work on that full circle and build. When you look at the most profitable companies out here, they have tons of people working for them. They might not understand the science, but the science is working because they have tons of people working for them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people might not even understand the science of things, but it's working for them because they understand numbers. They understand usability. They understand, get the job done regardless who gets the credit. You get me? So whether I'm known or not, I'm important, but the manager's known, the A&R's known, you know, the CEO of the company is known, but the owner of the company don't have to be known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The brand is known. I want the brand to be, I want Soul City Crew as a brand to be known more than me. That's why I don't have a Mega Man social media account. Everything is behind my brands. You get me? Remember what the brand done and don't worry about the individual. And this is why people over a period of time get to knock a religious sect or something, because they focus on, but that person was a bad person. He wasn't good. You know what I mean? If you focus on the brand, or the actual product, you have nothing to worry about. There's CEOs right now that catch cases and actually distance themselves from their own brand, sell on their shares. You know, I mean, it's happened with bigger Nike, Adidas, happened with so many different big things. So forget about the small ones. So I'm not speaking about our culture. Speaking about the big guys, Warner Brothers and Paramounts and Disneys and all that sort of stuff. People have had bad reputation before and had to let go of their positions, you know, because the business the brand can live on, but you will be stuck with that stigma. And it's the best way to do it.
We didn't get to talk about family. How many kids do you have, by the way?
I have 3.
What was like the big, like, oh shit, I'm a dad moment? When did that arrive for you, where it's like,
my last 2. My last 2. Because before I had family and, you know what I mean? Everyone chipped in. I think my son was the first grandson through my mother.
Jeez.
Yeah. And the first, like, great-grandson to my grandmother and the first great-great-great-grandson. You know what I mean? So I was one of the first out of my age group. From my uncles and mum and that, I was one of the first to have a child. But yeah, only when my last 2.
And you alluded a bit earlier to those values, but like, what is the thing that you're trying to create for them?
I don't think your kids should work hard. I don't think they should work hard for money. I don't think they should work hard for anything apart from their body, their mind, nature, and stuff like that. So I think school is okay for kids. It gives them the fundamentals, but if you're able to do homeschooling for your kids, a lot more beneficial, especially if it's coming from you. But
can we settle on the idea that I'm only gonna have 2 kids, and are we cool with that now?
I don't know, man. Bro, as a man, I think we should always be creating. The woman has over 200,000 plus ovaries. The man has over 200,000 plus, or maybe millions sperm cells. Keep creating, man. Keep creating, because I would say generations don't last that long. If the human body was made to live 150 years, and because of the way how we consume today and do certain things, we're living between 70 and 90. You know, we're already cutting our existence down by half by the way we consume. So I feel the more family members you have, the more children you have, the longer your bloodline exists and continues, you know? And if you care about your bloodline as much as you should, then you won't have them working for money. You would have them working for the mission, the bloodline, and you know what I mean, the generational wealth, or the generations, how long your family will last in this country and many others. So it's about your family name. It's bigger than your household. It's bigger than your country. You know, and if you knew what your great grandparents were on, you might have a different mindset today. And if those stories continued through to your current parents today, they most would have showed you different.
To wrap, what do you have a book recommendation for people? Something that would you give them the most food?
Book.
Something that they could read or listen to that would genuinely give them a perspective that would open them up.
The knowledge you need to obtain to really accumulate whatever you need in life, you have to be a student of life. You have to continue learning. It puzzles me that in school we were given tons of books. We went from one class to the other, to the other, to the other. You know, as soon as we leave school, one job. As soon as we leave school, one religion. It puzzles me. And they tell you that all you need is this book, one book for the rest of your life. I mean, in school right up to university, it was 10 books, 11 books. Learn French, learn Spanish, learn this, learn that. And when we come out, religion says, oh, you need one book, or society says, oh, you need one job, or you need one strand of income. I think it's an injustice, man. Whatever you do in life, there's no one book that is going to give you all the gems to life. You know, there's not one book that's going to make you the strongest in your faith. So be a student of life. Every book that catches your eye, if it catches your eye for a reason, maybe you should read it. Or maybe you should look at it and pass it to somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? But it caught your eye for some reason. So, yeah, there's no one book I would say. But definitely pick up on the cliche books, man. 10X Rule, nice book by Grant. The Rich Dad Poor Dad trilogies, all of them. Pick up on all of them. They teach you something nice. Tons of books, bro. Have a library. If I come into your house and there's a bookshelf that looks like a library and it has, you know, health and knowledge and finance and spirituality and all these different things, I would feel you're a well-rounded person. If I come to your house and it's just business, I'll be like, blood, come on, man. Relax. You know what I mean? If it's just religion, I'll be like, come on, man, open your mind, you know? So, yeah, read as much books as possible.
Mega, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah?
This has by far been my most favorite interaction.
One of I would, because I've seen a couple of yours and I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the way how you have your guests. There's conversations that I feel need to be had, but more just on our cultural aspect and who we are, religion wise, what we should be doing, and what we think about the financial world. Because majority of us from our culture, we like to be in the level of, if you don't work hard for it, you don't deserve it.
Yeah. And that's not the universal law.
Oh, please, man. Our culture, please let that go, man. It's like, when I look at the music industry, I love it because I know that people are enjoying the process. But when you say, oh, yeah, man, he's well-deserved. 10 years, won an award, well-deserved. 10 years, got a number one. You know what I mean? For selling 2,000 units or 18,000 units, well-deserved. I'm like, listen, guys, if you lot keep doing this, I'm going to lose my rag. If you lot keep on, you know, rewarding people for we're rewarding people who ain't even on the podium. But they're doing it to our kids in school, giving them trophies for losing. So we are, top 40, top 100, top 20. What? Do you understand what they're doing to the legends? If we keep on doing things like on the basis of hope, because the game is rigged to a certain degree, and business world, everything's rigged to a certain degree. So when we do things of a hope, every time you get a result, that is on your resume. So how many of our legends are going to be told to keep releasing music and get in a top 60 and then a top 50, then a top 20, then a top 10, then a number 2, not even a number 1, year after year. So when you go back and look at his discography, it's bare 60s, 70s, and 80s, and I had to stop. Once I understood that, bro, I stopped. I said, "You are not having my personal credibility put into jeopardy like that." But yet everybody out there are calling me a legend. This is not dancehall. Yeah? Don't say, "Oh, but the Bashment's like this and this." This is not dancehall. Yeah? A producer can go into studio, make one song, and 20 artists are eating off it. Yeah? From back in the day, from Bobby Digital, Steely and Clevie, right up to these current producers. Yeah? We are doing rap, garage. The producers are not selling their beats on 20 times to 20 artists where we can, it's a different ball game. So this is why I say, get out of the mindset of working hard. Put your mind to work. Yeah? Make your spirit and your energy go further than your physical body and put that to work as much as possible. Yeah? And only at that point, yeah, whatever comes your way, you can appreciate it because you haven't overly worked hard for it. I don't believe in hard work. I believe in smart work, bro.
That's the gift that we're going to end on.
Yeah.
Thank
Love.
you, Fee.
Thanks
Appreciate
for having me, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, respect.
super